A public hearing. We passed the ordinance already for the borough and the new sanitation ordinance, but now we're going to have a public hearing on the salvage part of that, since there were some questions raised by a few people that salvage materials out of the garbage dump and use it to make a profit. So anybody in the audience that would like to, should we call the roll, Kathy, to say who's here? Not necessary, I didn't think so. Okay, so anybody like to talk to this subject? It's just a public hearing. The assembly won't take any action tonight. We're scheduled since we didn't advertise to make a decision on this tonight. It'll be in the first meeting in February, which is whatever the date is on that, first Monday. So anybody would like to speak to this? Come to the microphone, state your name, and voice your concerns. Cindy, can you hear us all right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Borough Assembly members, my name is David Whitethorn. I guess only by the way this looks. I was here at last meeting and spoke to you guys. Carl and I discussed after your meeting about the folks that have bid on the scrap out of the city dump, and the last purchase of this stuff was 1,000 ton from Channel Construction out of Juneau, and I spoke with Channel and talked to them people, and I don't see any place maybe that Carl might have spoke with him. I don't know if he did or didn't. I didn't get back to Carl to ask that, but he did speak with Pool Engineering, and according to Chuck Pool, who's the owner and operator of Pool Engineering, stated that, yeah, if he's seen a profitable amount of copper laying around, he would probably increase his bid price to the borough. But I believe Pool's price come in at $30 a ton, comparing to Channel at $67.50 a ton. And I don't know if Carl contacted Mr. Pool or Mr. Townsguard in Juneau or not, what his options were on whether we're there or not there on commercial salvage. That I don't know. You know what Mr. Poole had to say other than what he wrote here. I spoke with him, and he's got quite a few people that salvage for his company out of Ketchikan's metal pile, as Carl states in here. But I still don't see where our borough is going to benefit a whole lot of the difference of what we take out, what we gain or lose. So I'm still in question, you know, why Carl wants.
Are you still there, Cindy? Cindy, can you hear us?
Cindy, are you still there?
I was calling her for a second.
Okay, because we're hearing a lot of background noise. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ollie, sorry.
If you can, I'm going to step away for just a moment. There is a dehumidifier here that comes on, and I think that may be what you're hearing.
Okay, thanks.
But I don't know, I don't believe that we're taking anything that the borough might gain that don't stay in town. And I don't know, maybe Steve, you can answer this for me. If a dollar comes to Petersburg, how much does the city obtain out of that dollar every time one comes into Petersburg?
Don't know what this community is, but it's usually substantial.
Yeah, I don't know. you hear the word that it passes 7 times in Petersburg. I don't know. I've heard 30 cents goes to the borough, approximately. So if we kept out of the $60,000-$80,000 that comes out of the dump to the people that are salvaging, the city borough, or the borough, is actually collecting quite a bit of money off of that funding coming back into Petersburg, if you look at it that way. You know, if you got 30 cents on a dollar and you keep 30 grand here, that's a fairly good shot of money. And I don't know if it would make more than what you're losing by us being there and taking it away from you. That I don't know.
So you're meaning that a dollar earned by somebody that's salvaging at the dump, if they keep it in town, if it circulates 7 times, that the sales tax that's collected on it would be 30 cents on a dollar is somebody's estimate.
Yeah, and so you're gonna get 6% every time that dollar's spent. As long as it's not spent by a senior over 65 or a nonprofit outfit spending that money. So, but that's all I have to say.
Okay, Lily, thanks. Anybody else want to talk to the salvage program at the Baylor? State your name, please, Peter, and who you represent. We know, just for the record.
I'm Peter McCulloch, and I was a little late, so I don't know what the deal was, but I would just wouldn't want to see this program to be changed or finished. I think if you make the fees $10 and maybe $300-$400 for the pass, I think you're going to end up with a lot less people using this whole deal. But I would like to ask you, what is the reason why you want to change it?
Carl, can you answer that question? It's your proposal, I guess, from your department that would like to do away with the commercial salvage part of it.
The answer is in both the memo that I sent previously and the report that I produced for this meeting. Essentially, the question of commercial salvage for profit came up, and as a result of a ordinance revision that was on the table because of the borough transition, and the department, while we're very supportive of the salvage program in general, has seen operational problems with the commercial salvage for profit angle. The salvage program was developed to benefit citizens locally to come in and procure items that somebody else had thrown away for beneficial use, and the department would like to retain that use of the program. We have never been in favor of eliminating the program. We just would like to fine-tune the focus of the program so that it is more geared towards what the original intent was.
I think that program is really good because it became such a popular thing, and if you shut it down or change it in such a way that people will not use it, it will become just one of those things we just don't need, or something we just there was a bunch of guys up there who are actually doing the whether it's commercial or whether you're gonna sell stuff. Are you gonna be putting a stamp on something when I take something from the dump, so you really don't know what I'm gonna do with it? It's not like a Salvation Army, same thing. You go to Salvation Army and buy something, and then you can resell it or whatever you want to do with it. It's the same kind of deal. But I don't know. Maybe I should be here a little longer to know what the discussion is here, because I don't know.
It just started, Peter. The meeting did, so yeah.
All right.
Anybody else in the public have a comment? Carl, do you have another comment to make?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out that the intention of the department is not to eliminate all commercial salvaging. The rule of thumb would be if a piece of whatever is going to be reused in the community, then it would be allowed. it's fairly easy to see what kind of items are going to be removed, salvaged, and resold. It's hard to reuse a bunch of bent up copper pipe, for instance, or wire that's been stripped and still has insulation on it. It's very hard to reuse that for any purpose other than resale for profit. Items that would be salvaged and used for welding projects, art projects, wood that was used to rebuild or build projects, or for firewood would be allowed by the changes that are being proposed. The fine point on what is not allowed is the targeting of non-ferrous metals to be resold to salvage markets down south. I just wanted to make that point.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience like to talk to the salvage program? You state your name.
Cleared up in my head. I'm Dan McKay, and so it would be okay then if Peter went up and took metal out of there if he's using it on a project in town, or Mark or anybody. You could go up there and take well, not aluminum, we don't take anyway because of the Boy Scouts, but they could go up and salvage steel out of the pile or old pipe or anything like that and still use it.
That's
commercially
correct.
In town.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. I just want to clear that up in my own head. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Any other comments from anybody in the audience on the commercial salvage part of the salvage program at the community dump, I guess, for the lack of a proper word? Landfill. There we go. Well, seeing none, any comments by any assembly members? Mr. Hogue?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask the folks that testified this issue, why, if this is for some people a profitable venture, the salvaging, why couldn't you folks set up a place on your property and allow people to dump this material on yours instead of bringing it into the landfill? Because my problem still is there's two issues that I'm interested in. One is the borough maximizing its revenue once it has something. If people bring something up and get rid of it and we can sell it for revenue, I think we owe that to the citizens, quite frankly. The enterprise fund that runs this thing is not flush. And secondly, it's been stated by staff that sometimes the keen competition that goes on has caused problems for staff, and if we could have them divert their attention elsewhere, that would be to the benefit. So I guess my question for anybody who would like to comment on it that's here is what about another alternative that would keep the borough frankly out of this?
Dennis, would you like to come to the microphone and state your name and who you represent?
Yeah, my name is Dennis Jones, and I've been salvaging up there since it started, and I've never seen the kind of conflict as what's been stated here. It's always been cordial. If I want something, Ole gets it. If he wants it, it's been back and forth. I've never seen that. I've never seen the workers come over and have to chew on anybody for anything. In fact, they don't come over unless they're bringing a car over or something like that. I've never seen it. And I've probably missed, 6 or 7 times since it opened. And everybody seems to get along. I mean, nothing's perfect, but it's fun to go up there because everybody gets along. Where that's coming from is false. It's not true.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Any other comments?
Yes, Dan McKay again, and I just wanted to agree with Mr. Jones that I've never seen anything bad go on up there, and there's no conflict. Or when we're at the piles, we're having a good time. We go up there, it's a Sunday morning get together for the guys. We all take our coffees, and when we're done, we go get another one. It's a good time. And there's not that much to do in this town, where a bunch of guys can get together and do stuff like that. If you don't go out and go fishing, or you don't go to the gym, or you don't go to the pool, there's not a lot of other things that a guy can do here. So we have a good time up there. And like I say, it's it's not a free-for-all. There isn't any fights going on up there when we're over there picking stuff up. And like Dennis said, if there's something up there that you want, that we've found, you get it. I mean, there's never anything bad. I mean, we enjoy that up there a lot. I'd hate to see us lose that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Kurt?
Mayor, I got a question for the salvagers. Have you guys ever had to sign anything? Is there any kind of the memo of understanding as to the conduct that you guys are supposed to be adhering to? I mean, if this is a question that everybody has, or a concern that everybody has, that possibly that there's a dispute, or maybe we don't understand how everybody should react. I mean, would this placate everybody if you had to sign a contract where if you had to be civil, or you had to be this, or you had to be that, and if you break that rule once, there's no warnings. You're just done for a while. I mean, if we don't have anything that anybody can read and then adhere to, I mean, then you would assume that anything goes.
Never been in conflict.
Okay.
Not a question.
Is there any other questions by any other assembly members? Is there anything in writing, Carl? Would they sign? Do they have to sign? The people that go there for salvage, you sign an agreement that the city's not liable if you get hurt on the property? Is that in it?
There are a number of conditions on the permit that they sign, and that a copy of that is included in your packet.
Right, and I couldn't remember exactly how it was worded. I know the city of Ketchikan has a similar understanding, or it's actually in writing. When you sign the agreement to be able to go into their landfill, is what Kurt's talking about. If you're causing a problem for the employees, you get told not to come back for, I think the first time was like a 6-month period of time. So there's options, I guess. So, any other comments from the people in the public and the audience?
Yeah, I'm just fresh up here. I heard this on the radio and wanted to come up and say that I've been up at the dump a lot and have seen no kind of discourse going on up there. It's always been everybody gets along good up there and stuff. If anything, if there's any hostilities, it sometimes comes from city workers up there. So just my 2 cents I want to put in there. And no, the guys have always been really good up there. So
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks.
Any questions of Doug? Harold? I'm assuming you came up here to
I did. I was
Say
listening
something.
on the radio. I just couldn't resist. Harold Madolin. Don't know the best way to approach this, but I followed this when it first started, the first salvage thing, and I think one of the things that led to the creation of the salvage program was there was one of the city employees who worked at the dump was packing home all the copper and selling it, and had a nice sideline business going, and there was a little bit of resentment over that, and it was kind of a closed shop. You couldn't salvage unless you worked for the city. Now, in the years since, I've been working for Channel Construction, so I get to accompany the barge load of scrap all the way to the scrap yard, and I get to see what happens to it. And when all that copper is thrown in the pile and pushed up occasionally through the week by the loader and the public works crew, it's going to go in the lowest possible common denominator. I think that we're in a commodities bubble right now, and probably the price you're getting for scrap is inflated. There's a bidding war that probably the city of Petersburg, as much as anyone has created for the scrap in Southeast, at least for our local scrap, between Pool and Channel Construction.
Excuse me for a minute, Harold.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy, can you hear us? Are you there? Kind of hard to listen to somebody talking, but
Cindy, can you hear us? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Cindy, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, they're getting that interference again.
yeah, something was making some kind of a noise on the speaker. It was hard to hear the person talk that was giving their testimony here.
I know we're going to put that on the city absolutely motionless.
And you're getting hard to hear. Well, I guess if it gets to be too much of a problem, we might have to try to reconnect before the assembly meeting, and hopefully it's a better connection. Sorry, Harold.
Oh, it's all right. Anyway, I don't think that you're going to get an appreciably higher price for this stuff if the copper's picked out or not. It's based on tons of steel, or of steel scrap, mixed steel scrap, and that I think the highest and best use for that copper. Now, I heard a thing on the radio a couple years ago about copper. There said that of all the copper on Earth, about 2/3 of it has been the easy stuff has been mined, and it keeps getting recirculated. And of that, about half of it's been lost. It's at the bottom of the sea here and there. And so I tend to see copper as a valuable thing, and I don't tend to take my copper scrap and throw it at the dump. It gets squashed up and put in a barrel somewhere, just like a commercial salvager would do. But I don't know if it'd be worth the city's while to have a guy running around with the dump picking the copper out and putting it aside. Maybe it would if the copper price stays high, but I think the highest and best use for that copper, I hate to see it go to waste and to go on a barge and get hauled out at Seattle Iron and just get run through the shredder, and the copper will maybe somewhere get recovered, but the highest and best use would be for someone to go up there and pick it out of the pile and sell it. And I think the way the way it works now, when you have some guys that are interested in doing that, I think that recovers that copper probably more economically than the city could do, and I don't think that you're going to get any more price for your scrap pile by leaving the copper in it. Get my point? I mean, if you segregated out yourselves at whatever expense, you could probably send it off and make a tidy little bit of money off it yourselves. But if you're not going to do that, you're better off letting these guys get it.
So your opinion is to keep the salvage for sale available still at the landfill?
Yeah, I think that if someone wants to sell it or take it home and treasure it or whatever they want to do with it, let them do it. And I haven't spent as much time up there as I would have liked, but I also have never seen any conflict on the salvage days at the landfill. So.
Okay, thanks, Harold.
Yep, thanks.
Any other comments from anybody in the audience on the salvage program at the local landfill? Okay, like I said earlier, the assembly isn't going to take any action on it tonight because it wasn't on the agenda, so it wasn't advertised. So I feel we should, wait until the first meeting in February, which will be the 3rd. It'll be brought up whether the assembly wants to go ahead and go along with the public works director and just have the materials that are salvaged be used in town, not collected and shipped out for profit. So with that being said, I'll ask one more time if there's any more comments. If there isn't, we'll close the public hearing on the commercial salvage program at the Petersburg landfill. Okay.
A little bit of information might help you guys. On the paper that Carl provided you, you got a price of $1.80 to $3 a pound. $1.80 is the highest price you'll find for yellow brass. $3 is the highest price you'll find for number 1 copper. Out of 40,000 pounds of copper that I shipped out, I received 27 pounds of number 1 copper. That's how tough they grade down there. The lowest price we're looking at is $32 or 32 cents a pound. So this $1.80 is really on the high side for what you're sending out. And according to this, it's $36 or $3,600 to $6,000 a ton. But if you figured at 32 cents and $3 for the highest price you're going to get, which out of 40,000 pounds, we received 27 pounds of number 1 copper. Everything else is 2 or below. And so they cut you pretty hard. But other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Ole.
I'd like to ask Carl.
Can you state your name again, Peter?
My name is Peter Mahalik. I was wondering, did you guys take all the old steel out of the dump for the salvage? Or it was buried by the spoilings from the harbor?
We removed as much as we possibly could. There was a section of metal at the bottom of the pile that was really contaminated with old cable and strapping, which the scrap metal vendors do not want.
No, that was what I was wondering if that would be. I mean, you worry about profit for the borough, but you didn't take the whole.
There's no
the
profit in
volume
that.
of-
If we have to cut every piece of cable in 6-foot lengths, there's no profit in that for anyone.
Okay, because it was just buried after that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I guess with that being said, is there any more comments, any more public comments? Then the public hearing is closed on the salvage program at the local landfill. And we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we will start the assembly meeting. Kathy needs to do some